Then it is mentioned at-talaqu marratan. Divorce is twice. Divorce meaning divorce that is revocable. So now the process of divorce is further explained. That first of all, talaq, remember, is something that is valid, meaning it is something that is permissible. Talaq is something lawful. It is a permissible way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated for His slaves. Remember that a marriage is not something that is by definition to last forever, that till death do us apart. Yani this is not an Islamic idea. Marriage is a union, and where necessary, where needed, it can also be dissolved. Nikah is a contract, and if the contract is no longer working out, then there is a way to dissolve that. There is a way out of oaths, and there is also a way out of marriage. So remember that divorce is neither something evil, nor is it abghadul halal, the most hated of all lawful things. This is a false statement. Yes, some attribute this to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but remember that first of all, this is not authentic, and secondly, when you look at the statement abghadul halal, how could something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made lawful be hated by Allah? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded something, He has legislated something, then remember that He loves it. He likes it. It cannot be that He dislikes it. So talaq is something permissible. It is a legislated way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in detail in His book. So we should not, look at divorce as if it is something evil. No, it is sometimes necessary and in fact very beneficial for people. So what is talaq? Talaq is to release, literally to release, to set something free, to allow it to move on. So remember that talaq is what a man gives to his wife. A talaq is not issued by a woman. That if a woman intends to dissolve the marriage, then there is a different scenario. That is something else. This is talking about talaq. Talaq is issued by the man to his wife. And what that means is that after talaq, a woman is free to marry someone else. However, there's a waiting period before she can do that. And that waiting period, we learned earlier, is of 3 quru, 3 menstrual cycles. And in the waiting period, the man has the right to take back his wife. Now, the divorce in the waiting period of which a man has the right to take back his wife is only permitted 2 times. Meaning there are only 2 chances, marratan, 2 chances. You see, from the above verses, a person can misunderstand that a man can give divorce to his wife, and then as soon as the waiting period is about to be over, he can take her back because he has the right to do so. And this could happen literally hundreds of times. And this would be nothing but abuse. And we learned that a man actually said that to his wife, that I will neither divorce you so you can leave me, nor will I let you live in peace with me. And when she asked how, he said, I will divorce you. And then when your iddah is almost over, I will take you back. So the woman mentioned this to Aisha radiallahu anha, and she mentioned this to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then these verses were revealed. So it is made clear over here that a man has only 2 chances, 2 strikes, 2 chances to divorce his wife. And remember that a man can only give talaq to his wife at a time when she is in a state of purity, not while she is menstruating, and not in the period of which he has been intimate with her. فَإِمْسَاكٌ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ بِإِحْسَانٍ. Then either keep her in an acceptable manner or release her with good treatment. Meaning, once the talaq is given, whether it's the first or the second, a man must make up his mind that if he wants to live with her, if he wants to make this marriage work, then he should live with her in an acceptable manner. And if he does not want to live with her, he does not want to continue with the relationship, then let her go. Let the waiting period come to an end and let her move on, and you also move on. Tasrihum bi ihsan. Do this properly. Don't make this a place of violence and abuse and mistreatment. There should be ihsan over here. And then don't keep her in limbo. Once the talaq is given, then make up your mind. Either keep her or let her go. ولا يحل لكم أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن شيئا إلا أن يخافا ألا يقيما حدود الله. And it is not lawful for you to take anything of what you have given them unless both fear that they will not be able to keep within the limits of Allah. So remember that talaq is issued by the man, which means that when he divorces the woman, he is not allowed to take back anything that he had given her previously. Whether it was the mahr that he gave her, or it is some gift that he gave her, or it is whatever that he spent on her up until that point, he cannot give her a huge bill that, you know what, I spent this much on the wedding, I spent this much on your mahr, I have spent this much on your house, I have spent this much on your clothes, I have spent this much on your gifts, so now you give me all my money back. No, you are giving the talaq. The man is giving the talaq. He is ending the marriage, so he cannot take back anything from her. However, فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا يُقِيمَ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا فِيمَا افْتَدَتْ بِهِ. So if you fear, and you is referring to the families or the judge, that they will not keep within the limits of Allah, then there is no blame upon either of them concerning that by which she ransoms herself. Now, this is talking about the case where the woman is seeking divorce, that the woman wants to end the marriage. Then remember that when a man marries a woman, he has to give her a mahr, meaning a financial gift. And a woman is not to give, she's not required to give anything to the man. The man has to take care of all the expenses. He has to, in fact, he's obligated to give her a gift. However, now after the marriage, the woman wants to end the marriage. Then in that case, it is not fair that now the man is losing the wife and he's also losing everything that he gave her. So in this case, what will happen? She will return the mahr that he had given her. And this is called a ransom over here, fidya over here, and this is the case of khula'. So khula' is not talaq. Khula' is where the woman seeks to end the marriage. And how does that happen? She returns the mahr to the man, and the marriage is annulled by a judge. And in this case, remember, the waiting period is only 1 menstrual cycle, not 3 menstrual cycles. Why? Because 1 menstrual cycle is enough to reveal pregnancy in order to clarify paternity. And in the case of talaq, it's 3 menstrual cycles. So why the difference? Because in the case of talaq, the man issues the divorce. So a longer time is given so that he has time to rethink his decision if he wants to take it back. And in khula', the woman is seeking divorce. He cannot take her back anyway. And she does not want to be with him anyway. So she should be free to move on. The sooner, the better. But 1 menstrual cycle. Why? So that if she's pregnant, that pregnancy is revealed, and then the paternity is known. تِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَعْتَدُوهَا. These are the limits of Allah, so do not transgress them. وَمَنْ يَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. And whoever transgresses the limits of Allah, it is those who are the wrongdoers. These are limits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set. That when it comes to the waiting period, when it comes to which case can the man, is the man to be given the mahr, in which case can he not take anything back? These are rules that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stipulated. So don't pretend like they don't exist. Don't act on impulse. Do not let your anger, your hurt, your disappointment, your vengeance drive you. Fear Allah even in the matter of divorce. And it is mentioned over here that whoever transgresses the limits of Allah, it is those who are zalimun. Remember that there are different types of dhulm. First of all, there is dhulm, oppression in matters that are between the slave and his Lord. These are sins. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden that a man look at what is unlawful for him to look at. For example, a woman, her aura. So if a man does not guard his eyes, then this is a form of dhulm. Why? Because he is violating what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had commanded him. He's going against the command of Allah. So now it is up to Allah whether Allah wants to forgive this slave or not. The second type of dhulm is shirk, to associate partners with Allah. And this is not forgiven unless a person repents from it in this life. And the third type of dhulm is oppression in matters that are between the slaves. So, for example, in the case of marriage and ending marriage, divorce, that, for example, a man gives talaq to the wife and then he does not let her come to the house. She's not allowed to take any of her belongings. She has lost everything. She's literally kicked out of her house. This is dhulm. And for this type of dhulm, remember in hadith we learn that this type of dhulm will not be forgiven until the oppressed forgives, until justice is established. So while in this life a person may be able to get away with oppression because of their, power, their social status, they're able to do whatever they want. They get away with different forms of oppression. On the day of judgment, there is no escape. فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ فَإِن طَلَّقَهَا فَلَا تَحِلُّ لَهُ مِن بَعْدُ. And if he divorces her, then she is not lawful to him afterward. If he divorces her, now this is referring to the third divorce, the third talaq. So remember, the first two divorces are revocable, and the third is irrevocable, meaning it is final. There's no more chances now. The man cannot take her back. This means that there is no rujur, there is no taking her back, even in the waiting period. And the waiting period is again 3 quru. And there is no nikah even after the waiting period is over. So for example, the man gave his wife a third divorce. Now what does that mean? Now she's forever separated from him. She is no longer permissible for him, which means that he cannot take her back in the waiting period. And after the waiting period, he cannot even marry her. He cannot even marry her. This is a final irrevocable divorce. The two are separated forever. So remember that this shows us that talaq is supposed to be one unique incident, or it should be one talaq is one occasion. It is not 3 divorces in one sitting, that a man is angry and he says talaq, 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 right? 3 divorces at once. No, it is talaq, waiting period. And then after some time, if there's talaq again, waiting period. And then after some time, if there's talaq again, the third time, then the two are separated forever. حتى تنكح زوجا غيره, until after she marries a husband other than him. فإن طلقها فلا جناح عليهما أن يتراجعا إن ظنا أن يقيما حدود الله. And if the latter husband divorces her or dies, there is no blame upon the woman and her former husband for returning to each other if they think that they can keep within the limits of Allah, if they think that they can actually make the marriage work. Now, this is very, very important for people to learn. Women, ladies, please learn the laws of divorce for your own good. You see, so much injustice happens against women. First, they go through the torture of divorce. They're humiliated through it. And then they're guilt-tripped into marrying the same abusive, irresponsible, impulsive man. And people say, do halala or tahleel, which is, for example, a man will give divorce to his wife 3 times, and then the verse is very clear that the two are now separated forever. They cannot be together. She cannot marry him now. But then what do people say? Do halala, which is that just go have a marriage contract with another man, just paperwork, end it, and then get back with your first husband. Or they say, just marry someone for a few days and then divorce, and then you can get back with your first husband. This is haram. According to Ibn Umar, this is zina. This is illegal sexual intercourse, and this is cursed. Remember, tahleel, this is not just paperwork. It is an actual marriage. The two should be living together. So, remember that if a man, he does not have the patience to keep his wife and has issued 3 divorces, then honey, he's not for you. You have to move on. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created millions of people. You'll find someone better. And please know that the laws of Islam are not to oppress and torture people. They are to protect us. If this restriction has been placed that after 3 divorces there is no getting back together, it is so that a woman should not have to suffer again and again and again. Because many women will bear oppression for the sake of their children, for so called honor, and because they think that no one else will marry them. So this law only serves as a protection for the woman, that if a man has divorced you 3 times, then it's very clear that he is not going to treat you with respect. So you don't fall in the same trap again and go be with him. However, if coincidentally it so happens that after 3 divorces, she marries someone else, and that marriage comes to an end. Why? Because of divorce or because the man died. And then after some time, her first husband, he proposes to her again. Then if she wants, she can marry him. But again, the only reason, the condition is in dhanna an yuqima hudud Allah, if they think that they can keep within the limits of Allah. Now another chance is given. Why? Because a long time has gone by, a lot has changed, and life teaches you. You grow with time. Another chance is given. وَتِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ يُبَيِّنُهَا لِقَوْمٍ يَعْلَمُونَ. And these are the limits of Allah which He makes clear to a people who know. These are the limits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set, these laws Allah has given, not so that we play around with them, we pretend like they don't exist. No, we should know these laws. لِقَوْمٍ يَعْلَمُونَ. We should have ilm of these laws. And then when necessary, these laws should be applied. So remember, as emotionally overwhelming as divorce is, still this decision should be made properly. And the laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given should be carried out carefully. There is due process. These laws are not to be ignored. And then it is mentioned, وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَبَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ سَرِّحُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ. And when you divorce women, and they have nearly fulfilled their term, then either retain them according to acceptable terms or release them according to acceptable terms. And this is in the case of the first and the second divorce, that remember that the waiting period begins from the moment that talaq is pronounced. And as I mentioned earlier, it should only be pronounced while a woman is in a state of purity, not while she's menstruating. And here it is mentioned, فَبَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ, and they have nearly fulfilled their term. Meaning that that when the waiting period is about to be over, the third menstrual cycle is going to begin anytime, then a man must act quickly. Either he should decide to keep her in a good way and take her back, or if he does not want to keep her, then سَرِّحُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ, let the waiting period come to an end, let her third menstrual cycle begin, and then she is free. But during this time, she should not be mistreated. She should not be kicked out of the house. She should not be abused verbally or physically or in any way. وَلَا تُمْسِكُوهُنَّ ضِرَارًا لِتَعْتَدُوا وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ. And do not keep them intending harm to transgress against them. And whoever does that has certainly wronged himself. Allahu Akbar. If you take her back, you better have the intention to live in peace with her, to make amends. Don't take her back so you can torture her. That, now I will not give her talaq. She will have to beg for talaq. And I will not give it to her anyway. I will treat her, I will mistreat her, I will neglect her, I will stay away from her. And you know what? She'll be desperate and she'll have to seek khula, and she will have to return the mahr that I gave her. So it is mentioned here, وَلَا تُمْسِكُوهُنَّ ضِرَارًا لِتَعْتَدُوا. Do not keep them intending harm to transgress against them. And whoever does that has certainly wronged himself. The man is thinking here that, I can harm her this way. I can force her into taking khula. I can use the law in my favor. Never forget the spirit of the law. And remember that whoever tries to wrong, to oppress someone else, is in fact oppressing themselves. They're harming themselves. فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ. In hadith, we learned that whoever causes harm, then Allah will cause him harm. Meaning, when you intend to harm someone and you're using different ways in order to cause them harm, then remember that Allah is against you. Allah will cause you harm. وَمَنْ شَاقَّ, and whoever causes difficulty, then Allah will cause difficulty for him. So right now, you might get away. You might think that you can take advantage of the situation. However, remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above you, and He is watching what you're doing and why you are doing what you're doing, and you are answerable before Him. وَلَا تَتَّخِذُوا آيَاتِ اللَّهِ هُزُوًا, and do not take the verses of Allah in jest, in mockery. How? There are many forms of this. People will misuse the law of divorce for personal gain. They will follow the letter of the law, forgetting the spirit of the law. How? For example, first of all, we see that people, they play around when it comes to the matter of divorce. So for example, a man says as a joke to his wife, talaq, not, I'm just joking. I divorce you, not, I'm just joking. So this kind of a joke, even, yani to scare a woman or to threaten her, لا تتخذوا آيات الله هزوا. This is not something to joke around with. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commands. Yani talaq is a legal matter. Don't treat it as a joke. Hassan al-Basri, he said that a man would say, and this was before Islam, a man would say that, you know what, I divorce you, to his wife. And then later on he would say, oh, I was only kidding. I was only joking. Or a person would say to his slave, I set you free. And then later on he would say, no, I'm just joking. I didn't actually mean it. So this ayah was revealed. لا تتخذوا آيات الله هزوا. And the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever gives divorce or sets a slave free or marries a woman, then later on he says, I was just joking, then it's still valid. Yani that divorce will still take effect. That slave will still be set free, and that marriage will still be valid. So لا تتخذوا آيات الله هزوا. Another way in which people take these verses as a joke is that a man will, for example, give multiple divorces in one sitting. We learned that a man gave 3 divorces to his wife at once. Talaq, talaq, talaq. Right? Or he gave talaq, and within the waiting period, he gave the second talaq, and within that time, he also gave the third one. And he didn't wait for the waiting period to end and then give the second one. No, he gave it at the wrong time, at once. And when the Prophet ﷺ was informed that the man gave talaq to his wife, 3 divorces to his wife at once, the Prophet ﷺ stood up in anger and he said, is the book of Allah being toyed with while I am still among you? Are you people playing with the book of Allah, with the laws of Allah, while I am still among you? We learned that a man came to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, and he said that I gave 1,000 divorces to my wife. Yani, طلقت امرأتي 1,000. I said to her divorce 1,000 times. So Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said that as for 3 divorces, because of them, she is unlawful for you. And the remaining divorces that you gave are a sin on you. They are a sin on you. So think about this. A sin on you. Why? Because اتخذت آيات الله هزوا. You took the verses of Allah as a joke, as a mockery. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ. And remember the favor of Allah upon you. وَمَا أَنزَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ يَعِظُكُمْ بِهِ. And what has been revealed to you of the book and wisdom by which He instructs you. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ. And fear Allah. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. And you should know that Allah is knowing of all things. So here, these commands are described as a blessing. These commands are not to be used as a tool of oppression, as a tool of injustice. They are a blessing. This is wisdom. This is beneficial law. So follow it properly. Then it is mentioned, وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَبَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ فَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنَّ أَن يَنكِحْنَ أَزْوَاجَهُنَّ إِذَا تَرَاضَوْا بَيْنَهُم بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. And when you divorce women, and they have fulfilled their term, do not prevent them from remarrying their former or prospective husbands if they agree among themselves on an acceptable basis. Now, this can be understood in a number of ways. First of all, in the case of revocable divorce, in the case of revocable divorce, meaning the first divorce or the second one. A man, for example, gives divorce to his wife. This is the first or the second divorce, and the waiting period came to an end. The man did not take back his wife, and the two separated. And now, after a year or two, that they both wish to get back together. So here, the family of the woman is being addressed, that you should not prevent her from marrying her former husband again. If this is what she chooses, then she has the right. لا تعضلوهن. عضل is to prevent someone from doing something or to make something extremely difficult. So don't make it impossible for her to marry her previous husband if she wants to, and they both have really learned and they have apologized and they want to make peace, then allow that marriage to happen. We learned that the sister of Maqil ibn Yasar was married to a man, and then that man divorced her. And he did not take her back in the waiting period. And then after that, he asked for her hand in marriage again. But Maqil got angry out of pride, and he said he kept away from her when he could still retain her, and now he dares to ask for her hand in marriage. And he refused to let his sister marry her former husband. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayah. So we see that divorce happens, but then after some time, people heal, they learn, they wish to make amends. So don't be arrogant over there, and don't come in the way. Secondly, this ayah can also be understood as that if a divorced woman, if a woman who was previously married and who got divorced from her husband, now she wants to marry someone else, then neither her family nor her ex-husband should prevent her from getting married. Because sometimes this is also, a big problem, that the ex-husband thinks that he has full control over his ex-wife. So he wants to have a say in all her decisions. Or her family thinks that, what, she had a bad experience the first time, we're not going to let her get married again. So don't do that. And look at the words, إِذَا تَرَاضَوْا بَيْنَهُمْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, if they agree among themselves on an acceptable basis. This shows that both parties, the man and the woman, both should be willing to marry. No man should be forced to marry a woman that he does not want to marry, and no woman should be forced to marry a man that she does not want to marry. We learned that Khunsa radiallahu anha said that her father gave her in marriage, and he got her married to a man, and she did not want that. So she went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam annulled that marriage. Aisha radiallahu anha also mentioned that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would always seek the approval of a woman before he got her married to someone. So the agreement of the man and the agreement of the woman is necessary. You see, sometimes parents, they really believe that it would be in the best interest of their son, for example, to marry a particular woman, and they kind of force him into marrying her, and he agrees only because of them. His heart is really not into it. And then we see that marriage is a very difficult experience for that man, and by extension for his wife also. So don't compel your children even to marry someone that they don't want to marry. So إِذَا تَرَاضَوْا بَيْنَهُمْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, there should be agreement, a willingness. A marriage is a very beautiful relationship, and people should not be forced into it, nor should they be prevented from it. When two people want to get married, then you should facilitate that. ذَلِكَ يُوعَظُ بِهِ مَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. That is instructed to whoever of you believes in Allah and the last day. Being the person who truly believes in Allah and the last day, their pride will not prevent them from letting something lawful happen. ذَلِكُمْ أَزْكَى لَكُمْ وَأَطْهَرُ. That is better for you and purer. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And Allah knows and you do not know. So we see over here that following the commands of Allah is a means of purification. It is better for us. It is a source of delight. It is a source of happiness for us. And this also cleans our heart of ego, because sometimes out of arrogance, people don't want to allow their daughter, for example, to marry her ex-husband, or for their divorced daughter to marry someone else. And this also shows that two people who want to get married, then let them get married. Don't get in the way. It is azka, it is athhar. Otherwise, what's going to happen? If you prevent them from getting married, they will fall into sin. So don't perpetuate the culture of sin. Allow what is lawful, facilitate what is lawful. Now, when there's divorce, of course, sometimes there's children also that are involved. So what happens to the children of a divorced couple?